Welcome to our channel, guys. Today we'll be making a steak with chimichurri sauce. Firstly, I would start by selecting the best quality steak possible. In this case, it's a T-bone. Try and select the thickest T-bone or steak you can find with great intermuscular marbling. I prefer dry brining my steak prior to cooking it. For the dry brine, all you'll need is to salt your steak 1 hour or a day in advance. In this case, I dry brine my steak for a day. If you're pressed for time, it works within an hour as well. Dry brining essentially pulls the moisture out of the steak, giving you a drier surface, and it seasons the steak throughout. I have found with dry brining, you get a better Maillard reaction on the pan. If you selected you want to dry brine your steak, let me show you how. Firstly, place your steak on a cooling tray, get kitchen towel and pat it dry. Then select your salt and season it thoroughly. All sides, on the fat, turn it upside down, do the same on the back side. For dry brining, you have to cover the steak entirely with salt. Don't worry, it won't be too salty. You can use whatever salt you like. In this case, I used coarse sea salt. Then place it in the fridge for desired time. I recommend a day. Once your steak is dry brined, you will see the texture would be much drier, a little bit redder, and it will look almost firm. Once your steak is removed from the fridge, let it get back to room temperature before cooking it. In that time, we will make our chimichurri sauce. The chimichurri sauce is a South American, Argentinian, Uruguayan sauce. It's one of my favorites. The chimichurri sauce is a quite vibrant sauce. It adds a lot of color and freshness to the steak. Start off by peeling and smashing, in this case, your garlic, and add it to a mortar pestle with salt. I always do this step first. It creates a emulsification on the bottom and it carries the sauce. To the garlic and salt, add half a chili. You can change it up if you want it more spicy or less spicy. You can use green or red chilies, but I prefer the color the red chilies gives. The green color of the chimichurri comes from parsley and oregano. Now add a handful of roughly chopped parsley. And then about half the amount of oregano. Add red wine vinegar, that gives the sauce a bright acidity. For emulsification, you add olive oil. I have found if you add too much salt in the beginning, that's fine. You can just add a little bit more olive oil. At the end, I always just prefer adding a half a squeezed lemon. I think it just makes the sauce pop. And add pepper to taste. Once your sauce is complete, it's time for the steak. I cook in a cast iron skillet and I'll bring it up to temperature. In this case, we heat the pan to 260 degrees. The cooking oil we used here is avocado oil. It's got a higher smoke point than olive oil and therefore it won't burn as easily. When cooking a T-bone, I prefer to cook it bone side down. The reason being, I try and get heat to radiate from the bone so you don't get raw pieces of meat on the side. I give it about 3 minutes on the bone side and then I would flip it. There's a lot of conspiracies when it comes to making steak. Flip it once, flip it 10 times. I feel that you get a feeling for working with steak. In this case, we'll be flipping the steak 4 times. I also prefer putting this fat side down. It creates a very tasty morsel. When the steak's ready, remove it from the pan to rest. I prefer the steak to rest about 7.5 minutes. On the T-bone you'll see there's 2 different pieces of steak. One side being a strip loin and the other side being a tenderloin. I prefer cutting down the middle of the bone, separating the 2 pieces of steak. This always creates a little bit of a taste off between the 2 pieces. One being softer, one being more flavorful. When your steak's cut, pour the chimichurri sauce on top of it. I prefer serving it on a wooden board, so you can just pass it along. This really is a crowd favorite at my place, and I hope everyone enjoys it. See you next time.